With so many lawsuits going against Bill 96, challenging provisions that Anglophones consider an assault to their essential rights, do you think you're governing for all Quebecers?
Yeah, I think so. And I know many Anglophones, and many Anglophones in Montreal, they think that we have to protect French because it makes us distinct in North America. So it's good for the restaurants, it's good for tourism. So we need to keep French, and we have to be careful to make sure that in the future, Montreal and Quebec will stay French. So, of course, there are a few Anglophones who say, oh, we are in Canada, everything must be bilingual. If tomorrow we say Montreal is bilingual, it will be a matter of time before everybody switch to English. So we have to be careful. It's not easy to explain that to them, but I count on you.
Yeah.
The application, though, that last week we saw was a little bit difficult and challenging. Are we failing in the application of those laws that, for you, of course, are promoting French? And in the process, we're also failing Anglophones.
Okay, try to explain you. Let's talk about healthcare services. Okay, when we give healthcare services, we don't ask the people, do you have the right, are your parents, did your parent went to the English schools or whatsoever. If somebody wants to receive services in English, they will receive services in English. If we talk about education, we have more time to study each case, so we make sure, and it's like that since the Bill 101, if your parents went to an Anglophone school, the children can go. If not, they cannot go to English school. So between the two, other services that are given, they should be given to Anglophone, not to all immigrants, because we have to send a strong signal that Quebec has to be in French.
I just want to go back to your comments on seeking efficient methods to stop the decline of French. That you want the right methods, and what we're seeing in the application, not the principle of Bill 96, what we're seeing in the application of the regulations of Bill 96 is that people are going into situations where they have to identify themselves as one of those four groups, and they find that a great irritant, and they feel that they're being treated poorly. I've been given emails of people in line at the Société d'Automobile, and nobody will speak English to them because the fonctionnaires think that they're no longer allowed to speak English to anybody. So it's the application that seems to be causing problems. And Mr. Roberge has said he's willing to look at adjustments to those regulations. But I want to ask you, what's your response to that? Are you going to change some of these regulations because they are being very badly received in the English-speaking community?
I would say that the strong signal we have to send is that services need to be given in French in Quebec, except for the Anglophone community and except for healthcare services where it's a matter of life. So
this I understand.
Yeah.
But it's the rest.
It's the rest. Then we have to adjust. But for example, in education, you have to prove that your parents went to English school if you want to have the right to send your children to English schools. So that's the way it should be.
Right, but on the regular...
And it's not because we change it. It must have been this way before.
No, but the obligation to identify yourself. When I go on the National Assembly website, I have to go through 3 more steps to get to the English
same
site.
thing when you have...
I know that. I recognize
when you go
that.
to your school board, it's the same thing.
But in day-to-day life, this is what has caused is being seen as an irritant in the English-speaking community, that they feel they have to identify themselves in one of those four groups. Are you willing to adjust? You just said you're willing to adjust if necessary.
We're open to adjust, but the principle is important.